What do you think we're facing as we head into 2021?
Well, you're correct, by the way. The industry's typical response is kind of a head in the sand. I think that what has happened here, the pandemic accelerated some of the disruption in the market, especially when it comes to big box retail. If you look at the shopping centers across the country and you look at big box retail and brick and mortar retail, even in New York City, you've seen massive vacancies and massive closures. That was accelerated during the pandemic, and Americans adapted even more so to online shopping. And so what we'll see coming back is a repurpose of many of those brick and mortar facilities into more entertainment activity, more housing. And the retail that will survive will be connected and a part of a retail experience that includes entertainment and other aspects. I think that we've also seen a reduction in rent significantly as well.
Yeah, it's wild to think about it. I mean, again, we're seeing this play out with some of the weaker malls in this country, but they're selling at, rock bottom prices. I don't know what they're going to do with this space, but like you said, I guess it could truly become even residential housing to some extent. But what happens, are these desirable footprints? So we're talking about this at the same time we're talking about people, looking for homes and not apartments, for instance. So, I think it's going to be interesting to see. And we know how bleak the situation is in New York City. You probably saw the New York Post cover over the weekend. But, they did a FOIA request and found that 300,000 people, I think they said, have filed change of address forms to leave Manhattan just over the past 9 months since the pandemic. So I guess what's bad for some markets, unfortunately, has to be good for others, right?
Yeah, it does. And New York was already losing population prior to COVID. That was the state and local income tax deduction elimination, the diminishing quality of life, and the high cost of living and the high cost of doing business. And so other markets like Florida, especially South Florida, or Tennessee, Texas, even Nevada, and other business-friendly, no-income tax states or low-income tax states were attracting high-income earners and their businesses to their jurisdictions. And then what followed, of course, is people who work in those companies. And I think you'll continue to see that. You're right about the shopping centers. The challenge is that multifamily housing is on the decline as well. And office, we don't know what's going to happen, but what we do know is that all workers are not going to go back to work and sit at their desk all day. And there will be a significant aspect of remote working in almost every professional type of work environment. And so office space consumption is definitely going to decline. And then the question is what to do with those buildings, and the more obsolete, older inventory of office space will suffer the most. And we'll be looking to how to reposition those. And maybe, I think one of the silver linings here is that the cost of housing is going to decline. Rental housing and multifamily homes will decline. And that'll make places like New York City a bit more affordable.
Yeah, absolutely. Final question. I wonder what you think is going to happen in the coming months. We've had this great vaccine news. Does it paradoxically make people more likely to do shutdowns in the meantime? I keep asking this question, but the stock market seems to have a totally different view and say we are not heading into any major economic event. We can kind of weather this the way that we've been weathering it. But what do you think is going to happen just in the near term as the pandemic spreads before that vaccine is widely available?
Well, the good news is that our economy has been resilient. I'm surprised at how resilient it's been. And now with the vaccine in sight, I think businesses are going to begin to plan for the future more so, and that future is going to become better known. So I think that we'll recover out of that. I think there'll be segments in the marketplace that obviously prosper. And then there'll be my sector, the real estate industry, that will have to reinvent itself in some of these cities around the country. And I think there's going to be a shift in terms of where people live and how they live. But I'm optimistic about the economy. And I think our economy has proven that even with this pandemic, remote working has actually made many businesses more efficient, more cost efficient, and more productive. And those are good things to drive economic growth as we see going forward. And of course, New York City is one of the greatest cities on the planet, and it's resilient too.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.